What's up, everybody? Blood on the Razor Wire TV back at you with another episode. Got a good interview today with a dude that I did some time with at Big Sandy. He ended up going to McCrary. And for those of you that read my book, you might remember when I talked about how the first day I got there, these dudes had to jump on a dude on the yard because the dude did some sexual offender type stuff with another dude. Well, this is one of the dudes that went on the mission. That's who we're bringing on today. So, we used to call him Fat Matt. Later on, he was called Big Head when he went to USP McCrary and some other places. But we're going to get into all that. Matt, tell the people who you are, man. Tell them where you're from. And we're going to get into some stuff about Dinky and the mission you had to go on, all of that good stuff. All right?
All right. My name's Matthew Webb. I'm from Houston, Texas. I started doing foul stuff when I was younger and ended up in federal prison. I originally ended up with 259 months for 144 grams of actual methamphetamine. I've done time 2 or 3 times in the state of Texas prior to that. And I thought when I got to the feds, I thought I was fixing to live it up. My first compound was Bloody Beaumont. I was there 12 hours, and that's when the Texas blacks and the DC blacks got into it. And I didn't even have my uniforms or clothes or anything at the time. I thought I was in Iraq or something in a war zone when I seen that. We went on lockdown for about 5 weeks for that. I was sealed up with an Asian dude named Tran, had multiple life sentences. And it was bad. Didn't have no shower shoes, didn't have anything. Just still had the Jackie Chans for 5 weeks at that moment in time. That's what I had to go shower in when they did the 3 days showers. When we did come up, they shot everybody in memos saying everybody's getting shipped from Bloody Beaumont. And I ended up getting shipped to USP Big Sandy after that.
So do you remember that first day when you get to Big Sandy and you're getting shipped from Beaumont after you see this, this riot, and now you're going to Big Sandy? What were you thinking in your mind?
What have I got myself into? Because Texas prisons wasn't nothing like what I saw in Beaumont. And then I heard all the horror stories about Big Sandy too. You're going to the next worst, most dangerous prison in the system.
Let me ask you a little bit about Beaumont though. When they had that riot, I mean, you just get there. Do you actually see this shit going on, or are you just like hearing about it? What happens?
Oh no, I was in laundry trying to get fitted for my clothes, and the deuces go off. I don't even know what the deuces mean at that moment in time. And I hear the laundry boss tell the worker, if y'all keep playing with them knives, y'all gonna miss the Super Bowl. And they ended up giving me just a jacket at that moment in time. I was supposed to come back at lunch to get all my clothes. They kicked me out of there, and I see the people, the white guys that's in my unit, DB at the time. Adam was in there. I said, well, I better get over here with these white guys. And it was just popping off left, right, every unit. During that time, I seen a inmate whoop a cop because they wanted him down on the ground. He said, I'm not getting down on the ground with all this going on. And they whooped that cop. And then I thought to myself, man, this is the real deal here. This isn't Texas. This isn't the state. This isn't county. This is where it's for real.
How old were you, Matt, when you got arrested, man?
For my Fed time, I was about 27.
So you're 27.
When I hit that yard, I was just turned 28.
So you just turned 28. You're 27 years old. You're arrested. You get sentenced to over 20 years. You're on your way to federal prison. You go to USP Beaumont. I mean, what was going through your mind at 28 years old, getting all that time?
I thought my life was over with. Honestly, I thought my life was over with. Hey, let's just deal with it day by day, see what comes. Hopefully, I get out of this one day.
Then you get shipped to Big Sandy. Did you go over there when Adam and Stevie and all them got shipped from Beaumont? Were you on that same bus?
No, I was on the bus behind them.
So they get there first, then you show up, and want to talk a little bit about Big Sandy, man. What's it like your first day walking in there?
Well, first of all, the bus ride was horrible. They bused us straight from Beaumont to Big Sandy, so we went up to uh, Forest City, stayed the night of the hole there, and then right back on the bus straight there. So it was 2 days of bus ride, black boxed the whole way. I didn't walk in till about midnight into my cell in Big Sandy, and then the doors popped the next morning. By this time, you're conditioned to when the doors pop, you're up. It don't matter how tired you are. Uh, so white dudes kind of introduced themselves, and then I went down and they introduced me to Dinky. Because at that time there wasn't but a few Texas people on that yard.
Dinky kind of felt like because he was the ABT shot caller, he had control over the independents from Texas, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely. He tried to run the ABT car and he tried to run the independent car.
Did he ever press you like, look, man, you need to go ahead and sign up, or did he just allow you to be an independent?
They pressed me to see my paperwork. Uh, I got that immediately too, and then after I got my paperwork, they pressed me to say, "Hey, you need to go on this mission." And at first, I asked him. I said, "Is he from Texas?" He said, "No." So I told him, "No, I ain't doing it. It ain't my. That's not my car." He's from, I believe he's from Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. And he basically said that there is no car for him. So the Boston car is going to send somebody, and we're going to send somebody. That way, it doesn't look like it's all on one group.
They end up
And
sending.
so
Oh, go ahead.
so the next day, after I told him no, I was like, man, it's going to either be me or him, and it's not going to be me. So I better go handle this so these dudes will leave me alone.
So you guys go on this mission. The dude was really from Tennessee. They didn't have really
Oh,
any Tennessee
Tennessee,
white dudes
okay.
over there. So they send you guys on this mission in the yard, right? We kick in a
Right.
guy, they kick in a guy, and they happen to pick you. Dinky picks you. That's when he was trying to be cool with Stevie. So he's like, "Yeah, man, we'll chip in. This white dude's got to go. He's trying to do some sex shit to this other young white kid. So we're gonna get rid of this kid." They send you and they send ID. You guys are out there fighting on the baseball field, but the dude they send you on, and this ain't to make fun of anyone, but the dude's fighting back and he's doing all right, right?
Yeah. He's a big old boy.
He was a big old boy, and he was kind of, he was kind of doing good, man. And then someone else had to run up and hit him. Who had to run up and hit him and drop him?
Harley.
And Harley was an ABT prospect at the time, right?
I think he was patched at that time.
Harley runs in there to save you guys a little bit, right? Keep it real.
We definitely was having. I mean, he knew it was coming, so it's not like we just completely snuck him or anything like that. He knew it was coming, so he was prepared. You know.
He was a big dude. He wasn't soft. He was willing to fight. And you were
Right.
doing all right out there. But the guy that we sent was a little too light, a little too thin to win, too light to fight.
Right.
So really, it was two big boys fighting each other out there. And then Harley comes in, he cracks the dude. Tell the people what happens when Harley cracks him.
Oh, he goes down immediately, and I just start stomping him. And I mean, I didn't stop until I heard that live ammo round get cocked.
Talk about that when they're up there in that gun tower, and he cracks the gun. Is that what makes you stop?
Yeah, plus the guards were right there. So I knew he was done. I mean, blood was everywhere. It was it was it was bad. He ended up getting some big old stitches all on his face and everything. So,
I remember he left the compound on a stretcher, right?
oh yeah.
It's important to talk about that because there are people listening right now, right? Um, Dude was kind of half-ass booty bandit, right? He had to go, man. I ended up seeing him later on, and he tried to explain to me that that wasn't the truth, that the kid was lying, and I'm like, I don't know, buddy. I thought he was lying for real, but he tried to explain himself and stuff to me, and I just brushed it off, man. He wasn't in my car. I didn't really give a shit when I landed at USP Lee. There was a whole bunch of them Tennessee boys, and I was just trying to do me at the time. But anyway, tell the people what's going through your mind when Dinky walks up to you and says, "Look, man, you're going on this mission, bro. You couldn't object. You had to do it, right?"
Well, I objected at first and then I slept on it, and I told my celly about it. He's like, "Dude, you got to go, man. If not, they're gonna get you, point blank, period." And so the next night, whenever we went, you know, we went out there and handled that business
When you talk about they're going to get you, man, tell the people how often people get stabbed there, man.
daily. Every day, something's happening daily. I mean, honestly, it's just better to be on lockdown in them places. That way, you get some good sleep and you get some rest, and nothing's gonna happen to you them nights. I mean, their mentality in them USPs is totally different. There are people in there with life sentences, don't care, they have nothing to lose, and that's where they get their enjoyment out of, is to see people getting messed off. And it's just a sad situation in those places, especially the USPs.
When you go on that mission, I want the people to know, like, what's going through your mind. Is your adrenaline pumping? Are you hyped up about it? Do you want to do it? I mean, is there a point where, like, okay, man, he was doing some sexual shit, so yeah, I'm gonna smash him? Is there ever a point where you're like looking at him when he's all bloody, where you're like, damn, man, where you feel bad for the dude? Tell us how you felt.
Uh, when I went on the mission, I didn't. I wasn't pumped up to do it. Didn't want to do it. He wasn't in my car. Didn't do anything to me. Is how I felt. Didn't do anything to my friends in my cars or anything that I knew of. Uh, but I had to survive. If you don't do that, you're not going to survive. Even if your paperwork's straight, even if you ain't doing nothing, if you're not going to go, the white dudes are just going to get you off the yard. They don't need a weak link on the yard. They're going to get you off the yard regardless. So at that point in my time in my life, it's like I got 20 years plus years still to do. I got to go do this, and for me to be able to survive, I don't want to be in the hole the whole uh, time. I'd rather be in there for the month than the 20 years. So and then afterwards, I felt bad because you know he didn't do anything to me. But that's just the way the USP prison politics are, right? It's just bad all the way around, man.
You do what you got to do, Matt, because if it ain't him, then it's you. You really don't want to do this, and you said you kind of felt bad, but I mean, if the dude was trying to rape dudes in prison, like, I don't feel bad for dudes like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't feel bad for dudes like that either. But at the time, I didn't even know what I was going on it for. So I mean, I don't even know why I'm doing this. I just other than to survive myself. You know.
You got to go viciously and violently destroy somebody, or else it's going to be you.
Right.
I know when we lived in that unit, we used to joke around and shit. Like we hung out together a little bit, man. We used to hang out in
Yeah.
Red's cell. Remember, Red used to do the tattoos, right?
Right.
We used to hang out with a couple of the Southsiders, the Serenos. Do you remember? Do you remember Droopy and Sad Boy?
That those names sound very familiar, but it's been so long ago I can't put the face to the names. but I remember those names.
I remember we used to joke around with you after that mission and tell you, "Hey, man, you're from Texas. Dinky's your dad." We used to fuck around with you.
Well, like you say, sometimes you gotta joke around and laugh to keep from crying about the situation we're all in at that moment in time in our lives.
No doubt. What's some of the worst things you've seen over there at Big Sandy, Matt? Do you remember some of the shit you seen?
I didn't see it, but I remember when the ABTs went downstairs and was stabbing that dude. You heard him screaming through the
Through the
vents.
vent. Yeah, I wrote about. I think I wrote about that in my book, or I talked about it, man. Yeah,
Right, and
tell
it
the
was just
tell the people what that scream was like.
oh, horrible. You just know that dude's got to be dead, and he ended up surviving. But I don't know how. But that screaming was just like horrific. Like I couldn't even imagine seeing that. That would really probably give you nightmares the rest of your life if you saw that up close and personal. Uh, I mean, it was just so much every day. All they're doing is politicking. Who we getting next? Who we gonna do get next? I mean, and it's a lot of times they're just sitting there. They'll get they'll stab somebody up, and everybody on the ground. They'll clean it up back to normal. And then those people that stabbing that kid's out of the shoe 3 days later because there's so many people that can't walk the yard there. They got to make room for people coming off the bus to check in. So it's like there was like kind of like no consequences for people that went on the missions, and it's just, they didn't care. They don't. They got life. They got 3, 4 life sentences. I mean, they don't care. So it was not a place that I was accustomed to. That's for sure.
But you end up getting accustomed pretty quick, so you don't end up dead in there, right?
You got to. You got to learn how to adjust real quick.
Let's talk about this, Matt, because I want this to resonate too. And I always use the word resonate because I want it to touch someone that's watching the show, someone that maybe they might be like you, out there hustling. They're going to end up with a meth charge, and they don't realize, man, that when them people come knocking on that door, it's going to be the feds, right? How many nights, man, did you look out that window, man? And if I remember, your cell used to look out on the yard. How many nights did you sit out there and just look at the stars like, damn, man, and want to be free?
Every night. Every night. I mean, when you see that, where you get sent to, you're like, man, I promise I'll be good. I do not want to go back to this place. It's just horrible, man.
Man, I remember you one day going into your cell because I had never seen a photo album like this. You had a big ass photo album. I got a photogenic memory, dude. And I remember you coming
Right.
over and showing us pictures of your girl and your son. And you're like, damn, man. And I remember you talking about that, bro. And I remember it hitting me a little bit like, wow, man. And you tell the people how much you missed your son, man.
Oh, I called him. I wrote him. I tried to do the best I could to be a father, you know, uh, with phone calls and visits. I was blessed enough to be able to get visits. I got a visit when I ended up in Macquarie, and then I ended up at Three Rivers, and I get visits. Uh, Blessed enough to be able to have a phone to be able to, you know, where my son was at to be able to call him, uh, and try to do the best I could. Uh, but you miss him every day, and it becomes to the point where you're like, man, these people are doing time with me. It's hurting my family a lot more than it is me because there's so many other people's connected to me, between my mom, my dad, my son, my girl, all those people are doing time with you, and it's hurting them, and it just builds up, and it's you don't want to be doing that, man. You want to be out doing right. It's just so much easier to do right than it is to go get that little bit of money and think you're on top of the world at the time, and the feds come knocking. It don't matter how much money you got, you ain't getting out of it.
What did you think about Big Adam? I mean, you were in Beaumont with Adam. You come over to Big Sandy with Adam. What do you think about Adam?
Man, I liked Adam. He was a good jokester. He always was joking. But he was also a very serious dude. When he stabbed that cop up there. And after we went on lockdown for that, him stabbing that cop, they were doing showers and they stopped the night before at my cell and said, "Y'all gonna get showers tomorrow." And it was the cop that he stabbed uh, up there,
Adams.
and I told that guy, I said, "That's why your sorry ass got stabbed because you do stupid shit like this right here." And somehow that got into I guess he reported that, and I ended up seeing Adam later on in the hole in what is that? Where did you end up? That the medical center, Lexington.
Yeah.
Well, they shot him to Lexington in the hole there for a few days, and he was like, "Man, I need you to come testify for me." And at first, I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that." Then I got to thinking, "Man, I'm not going to testify for nothing. I'm not going to testify on anything because I know where I just came from. Someone might get the wrong idea." So, uh, but yeah, Adam was a good dude, but a very dangerous dude at the same time. Big old boy.
I'm gonna say this, right? Adam was my celly when I ended up getting moved over to A2, I think it was. Adam was my celly. And I think, in my perspective, man, that Adam was probably the single toughest white dude at USP Big Sandy. Tougher than Swift. I mean, them dudes were tough too. Raz was tough, but I think Adam was at the top. What do you think?
I would probably say so. I'd probably say so. Yeah.
I want to see if you remember this, because I remember this. Do you remember when we had to go out on the yard and Leo had came there, the big, tall, skinny dude? He's really from New York, but says he was from Boston, and he was chasing the black dude around the yard with the knife, and then they wanted them to just fight head up. Do you remember that day?
No, I don't remember that day. It's one of the things I don't remember.
It's all right if you don't remember. I don't want you on here freestyling, bro. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you don't remember, I remember it, but I got a hell of a memory. But it's all good. So you end up leaving. You end up leaving Big Sandy. Why do you leave Big Sandy? Is it because you said something to the cop?
No, it's because after we went on that mission, I come out of the hole, and one of these dudes.
So, like I was asking you a little bit about Big Sandy and McCrary and stuff. You end up going to McCrary. What's McCrary like when you get there?
Uh, it's a little bit more laid back. Uh, Still goes down there though. Um, it's still a USP.
Definitely some dangerous places, right, Matt?
Yep. The only difference between there was no gang members on there.
When you go over there, it's a completely independent yard, and kind of tell the people if you can what the independents were like. Like the independents got rid of a lot of the white gang members because of the oppression, and the dudes came together and was like, "Fuck this, we're not dealing with this," right? And they started, getting rid of the gang members, right?
Right. When I got there, the ABTs were already ran off. Uh, ACs. We tried to let the ACs on. I guess they tried to do stuff to independents. They ran them off. There was no dirty white boys. There was no. It was just Florida car, Tennessee car, Texas car. Uh, there was a few Bostons there, but for the most part, it was just regular cars with independent dudes.
And Matt, you end up making your way to an FCI. What was it like to get on the bus, knowing, man, I'm leaving this USP, man, I don't have to live this life no more. I'm going to an FCI.
Oh, it felt like a relief. I felt like a relief to be able to get out, to hopefully have it tamed down, be able to sit there and be able to kind of, be able to get into programming and get into bettering yourself, and where you're not locked down constantly, and you're able to. I remember first day pulling up there was a tree on the yard. I was like, wow, they have trees here, and you could see through the fence, and it was a lot better.
But you went to Three Rivers, and Three Rivers sometimes gets busy as well, right?
Yes.
Ever see any wild stuff over there?
Yes, I was there for, I guess, about 7 years at the time, and the Pisces got into it with the blacks in my unit, and it was all out war in the unit. It was. I remember they took out, I don't know, about 45 Pisces and I don't know, 20 blacks when they finally got it, contained, and then they locked everybody down. That's how many I counted as they took them out, the next day, not including what they took that night.
You had already been in prison for a long time at that point. There's a riot going on. What are they doing? Are they hitting each other with stuff? Are they stabbing? I mean, what's going on in the unit?
No, it's more like locks in the socks, brooms, computer chairs. They didn't really. I think there might have been like one stabbing, one knife. It wasn't like it would have been if you were in the USPs.
How long was it going on for before they finally got it under control?
I don't know, 15 minutes maybe.
That's a long time to be in there fighting, isn't it?
Yeah,
So you're watching this riot.
sure is.
I mean, you're watching this riot. Are you locked in your cell? Did you go to your cell? I mean, what's
No,
going
I
on?
was I was on the second tier in front of my cell. And when I seen it happening, the ice machine was upstairs, so I went and got ice, and you're getting locked down, so get everything you need, because it's gonna be a while for you come out of this one.
Let's talk about this for a little bit. Federal prison, is it racially segregated?
Most definitely, whites are with whites, Mexicans, depending on who you're with, whether it's the South Siders, Paisas, the Thongos, the TS. I mean, you know, the blacks are pretty much all with the blacks. You have Muslim blacks, but they're pretty, Muslims are kind of pretty much separate from the rest of the blacks. But they will come together when it comes to a racial thing. Don't get it twisted. They will definitely all come together
So what were they
whenever
fighting
there's a
for in the
racial
unit?
thing.
Do you remember what they were fighting over?
Yeah, a black dude was at the computer, and he left his watch sitting there, and he thought a paisa took his watch, and so they jammed him up. And there was a little Mexican dude there that was the paisas were trying to recruit him, and he told them no, and he hung out with the blacks a lot. So whenever he stood up for the blacks, they've been wanting to get him anyway. So that was their excuse to take off. It was basically because of him standing up for the blacks. So because they already had the watch stuff, you know, settled, and but when he stood up for him, that's just when they took off on him,
And
and
Pisces
the
are known
blacks
for
whacked him up.
those Pisces are sometimes known for that old five-finger discount, right?
Oh yeah.
Or you leave something sitting on the phone, or you leave something at the computer table, it's good as gone.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Be out there selling
So
that thing in about 3 weeks, right?
yeah.
Always something, man. So Matt, tell the people, how much time did you do all together before you ended up getting out of prison, brother?
Did right at 14 years, because I ended up Obama let the did the all drugs minus two law pass, and it took me from 259 months down to 188 months. So I got extremely blessed with that, but I also put in a lot of work to try to get there. I took over 70 classes, bettered myself, everything I could get into to show that I'm, trying to change my life around. I did. And my buddy Blake Stover that I called you about earlier today, he's the one that helped me write up my motion to get that time off. So
So Blake Stover, he writes me at Freedom Fighters. He gets my address, whatever. He writes me. You reach out to me today, and I remember you instantly, right?
right.
What did you think when he told you, "Hey man, I'm trying to get a hold of this dude Chad"? Were you like, "Oh shit, I was in Big Sandy with him"?
No, that's not kind of how it went. I know Blake's because he was my neighbor for 7+ years, and he's a real good dude, and he helped me get out. So it's been on my heart ever since I've seen your channel. Where I watch. When I'm on the road doing my truck driving, I watch you a lot, and so it's been on my heart for me to reach out to you to see if you could possibly help him. And so I sent word to a buddy of mine, told him to give me a call. And then Blake called me today and told me, yeah, I've reached out to Chad, and I guess you had personal life stuff going on and just a whole bunch of stuff going on, and nothing ever came of it. So that's why I reached out to you today to see if we could maybe help him out.
But we're gonna make it happen. So tell the people what you're doing now, man. I know you see you in your rig right now. Tell them what you're doing and how you changed your life.
I got out. I hit the halfway house January 22nd of 20. I immediately went and got an ID. 12 hours later, had a job in a warehouse. Worked there for about a month and a half, and COVID hit. I got laid off there and was collected the unemployment like everybody else at that time. Was actually making more money sitting at home being a father to my kid while I was on home confinement. He stayed with me, and just being able to spend time with mom and my stepdad and my kid for the remainder of those 4 months, that was a blessing in disguise. For me personally. Now, COVID's a whole nother story. But for me personally, I was able to sit at home and spend time with my family and enjoy family during that time. But also during that time, I was reaching out to people to they're if you're from Houston, Texas, they're called Sear Jobs, and they help people get coming in from prison, and they help poverty. So I didn't have to pay a dime for my CDL. I was doing all the paperwork from home, sending my mom to you know get everything going. I got off my ankle monitor July 2nd of 20, and that day I went and took my DOT physical, and a week later, on the 15th, I guess almost 2 weeks later, on the 15th is when I started CDL school. From CDL school, I went and immediately got that within a couple months, and then from there I've been driving a truck ever since.
So look, there's dudes out here now that just got out of prison. They're struggling. They think they can't find a job, and I don't want to see them go back to the streets, man. So tell the people, man. I mean, what you just talked about in Houston is phenomenal. I didn't know that they're doing that, but I'm sure they're doing a lot of that stuff in all over the place. So there are opportunities. But what are you making, about $2,000 a week?
I generally, gross around that about a week, depending on how far mileage wise I go. I usually go from Texas to California in the summertime because I work for a produce company. So I come out here and pick up all their produce and take it back to Texas. And then in the wintertime, I always go down to Yuma, Arizona, because they switch, you know, from the hot and cold to the produce. And that's just what I do every week. And I'm off to get anywhere from 2 to 3 days a week. And I'm making real good money.
I want people to realize, man, $2,000 a week, you are making good money. And the best part about it is you're making really good money, and your ass ain't in prison working in the kitchen or rolling spoons or having to sweep the
Oh,
floor. And you can live a pretty good life making $2,000 a week, right?
oh, yeah. I mean, I got my car paid for. I got all the bills caught up. I've got money saved. In the next 6 months, I'm going to go see about buying a house, for my family. You know, uh, since I've gotten out, I've I've got my son's mother that I had him with. You know, we got back together. She's my fiance. Uh, I've got him. She had a kid while I was gone, and he's 8 now. And he wants me to adopt him. And so I got a beautiful family. I got beautiful family members behind me, backing me up. In a month we go to Disney World for a week. Last year we went to South Carolina Hilton Head for a vacation for a week. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to have family, just spend time with family, man. There's nothing on the streets anymore for me. I'm done. The only thing on the streets is these highways for this truck to roll up and down for me. I don't need nothing else besides my kids, my fiance, my mom and dad, her side of the family. And when I go in every Sunday, we go to church. Without that good Lord and Savior, in my opinion, none of this is possible without him, man. And so he's definitely blessing my life.
Man, I'm gonna tell you this, man. I'm super proud of you. I remember us hanging out in a cell, man, and I'm sure there were times when I was like, wow, man, never getting out of this place. And now, 20 years later, man, we can sit here on a video and talk. We're both free, man. We're both living our best lives. You got a family, I got a family. And I want dudes to realize, man, what you just said and how important it is, man. When he said, the only thing that matters to me is my family, my fiance, my kids. Because, man, when you lose all that stuff, man, and you're sitting in a jail cell looking at them stars, you're probably thinking, man, I'll never have that shit again. But guess what? You don't never have to lose it if you make the right decision now. You don't ever have to be in that cell wondering, man, if you'll ever see that. You know what I mean? And we've seen a lot of shit, dude. And before we go, I don't know if I know your memory ain't as good as mine, and that's not a knock on you, but I want to know if you remember when the Serenos were out there fighting each other out in the yard. Do you remember when they first started shipping them in? We were
I
watching
remember
it
they
out of the
first
window.
shipping them in, and they were definitely coming in. I don't know, 5, 6 buses deep at a time. I mean, they were. I don't remember them fighting out on the yard, but I remember they came in droves very quickly.
I say that because that was a significant moment in my life, man, in Big Sandy. Because that was, I think, the first time when I looked out there on the yard and them dudes were stabbing each other. The guns are going off, they're squatting down, and then they're kind of like military crawling to get to the guy to stab him some more while he was on the ground. I
Right.
looked out there in that yard and I said, wow, man, this is my fucking life right here, man. This is the life I'm going to
Yeah.
live. And I'm so grateful to be free. So, look, man, what's the most important thing in your life right now?
Family,
Oh, man,
working,
hold on. Say that one more time, brother.
family, and working, and just providing for my kids and try to. I can't never make up them 14 years, that I've missed with them, but I could do my best to create memories from here on out. That's why I try to always go on vacations once a year. I try to always be there and spend time with them and go do things with them and you know, uh, just spend time with family, man. That's what's important, man. Anything else past that is not important to me, man. It's just being a man. To me, being a man is going to work, providing for your family, and spending most of all time with your family and spending time and doing things with them. Because you can buy them all the things in the world, but that ain't being a real dad if you ain't spending time with them, man. So I really like to spend time with them and just be there, laugh and joke with them. Of course, I gotta, sometimes take his phone and do all that because he ain't doing right in school, and but that's part of being a father. He's got it. He'll grow up. He's seen me go through everything, and I believe he don't want to go down that path no more.
Well, listen, Matt, usually I ask people to give a message, but that's your message, man. The most important thing in your life is being a dad, man, having a family. Look, brother, I'm glad we made it out, man. I appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your stories, sharing your experiences, and I really hope that it, hits somebody, man. Hits some young dude, man, out there in Texas that's caught up in the life, man. Maybe he's a meth addict. Maybe he's just selling meth, whatever he's doing, man. Or maybe it's some young kid, man, that's selling dope, man, or some young kid selling crack in New York. I just hope that the story hits them and they don't make the decisions we make, bro. So once
I
again,
hope
man,
it does too.
no doubt. Once again, man, I appreciate you. I'm going to close the show. Tell people, man, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share the video with respect. Until tomorrow.
I got one more thing to say with you.
Let's
I
rewind.
appreciate what you're doing there, Chad, man, because this wasn't out when me and you were, doing our dirt. There wasn't information out there showing, this is how the feds work, or this is how the other lifestyle of when you're getting money and all that. So I appreciate you doing and putting the message out there to these kids.
You know what? Since you reversed this, I appreciate you too. Did you ever think back then that you would see me doing some shit like this?
I didn't know if we would ever even make it out. So, no, I didn't think we'd be doing this. But it's a blessing from the Lord that we are doing this.
No doubt. So I'm going to go ahead and close the show, man. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button with respect. Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, we're out.